Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, and shalom, shalom to the Hebrew Israelites who are throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom. Today I bring you a video that will bring to you a very good question that was asked unto me. And the title of this video is Israelites and Christians. What about Revelations chapter 1 verse 14? His head as well as his hair was as white as wool. And the subtitle of this video is The Lies of the European Part 2. Excuse me. Now, I thought this was a very good question that was asked on one of the video posts. So now we're going to go into the word to get the understanding. What does it mean for the Messiah head and his hair to be white as wool? Okay, so let us begin. First, with their announcements, those who have not heard Yahuwah speaking through his messengers, I highly recommend that you listen to his prophetic message, for he is confirming unto us what season we are in. For we know we are in the season for the Messiah to return at any time. The first message pertains directly to Hebrew Israelites only, and the second message pertains to Israelites and Gentiles. Please share that message, okay? The second video that you see titled as The Holy Days and Feasts, Judgment Against the Levites, please share that message with all Levites. Many of them are not aware they have a judgment set against them. Also share this video with others who do not understand why we still keep a memorial of the holy feast days and the most high holy days, such as the new moon and the Sabbath day. Many are not aware in the new eternal kingdom, we are going back to Torah. Nothing has changed. It's just that the European, Roman Christian has taught the whole world lies and did not give you the full understanding about the new covenant. So just watch that video to get the full understanding why the most high holy days are not put away with and why we should not take a part of these heathen pagan holidays. Okay? The next announcement is, please pray for brother Alayasha and his family, for they are truly bearing their cross. They were falsely accused and their children was taken away from them. Please do not let their story die, and their testimony will also be listed in the video description box so you can watch that video. Now for the question. Let's go back to the top. So I received a question, which was a very good question. And let me see where it's at first. From, well, let me give you the video where I got this question from. A while back, I shared a video pertaining to the lies of Pastor Stephen Anderson, exposing the agent of Satan, because now that the children of Israel are awakening to who they truly are, to their true identity, we have a lot of devils or children of Satan coming out and trying to stop what the Most High ordained. And they're not coming with truth, they're bringing lies. So on this video post, I received a interesting question. And this question came from Trojan Horse. And he asked, how do you explain the portion in Revelation that says his head as well as his hair was white as wool? Now, this is where you need to seek Yahuwah for his truth, my brothers and sisters, because the problem is what I noticed with some people, especially in Christianity, they only stay in one volume of the book, and they haven't been taught the whole truth about the King James 1611. Because if they was taught from the whole volume of the book, then Revelations chapter 1 verse 14 would not be such of a mystery. Okay. And again, I'm not talking about Trojan horse, I'm talking about what Christianity has taught the world, which was lies. Okay. So when you don't come in the whole volume of the book, you're going to fall for the deceptions. All right. So first, let me show you what I mean. Today in this world, when people think of the Messiah, they think of this false European image that has spread it throughout the world. Now, this is on blueletterbible.org. And as you see here, we have many images of the Messiah. But this is not the true image. For when you read all the scriptures from the Old Testament unto the New Testament, you will learn that none of these European images matches scripture. And you'll see what I mean. But let me read you the paragraph that's below these images. The Holy Spirit moved the ancient authors of scripture to write about Jesus Christos many generations before his incarnation. Okay. Now, to understand what that means, my brothers and sisters, when you do a research about the Roman Christianity, when they talks about the birth of their false Messiah, okay, they believe in the doctrine of incarnation. Okay. Do not get that confused with the Immaculate Conception. Because for Roman Christianity, the Immaculate Conception pertains to the birth of Mary. Do some research. Look it up on Wikipedia. Type in Immaculate Conception, and you will come to find out that only pertains to the birth of Mary. Now, for the birth of the Messiah, or their Messiah, they relate that to the doctrine of incarnation. Okay? But let us proceed reading this paragraph. Pastor Don Smith has thoroughly outlined these prophetic types and shadows of the coming Messiah from the Old Testament through the lens of the Holy Scriptures. You will clearly see portraits of the Savior captured in God's magnificent plan of salvation before the foundation of the world. So like I said, right here, these are the false images of the Messiah. And the Messiah, I'm talking about the one that is written in King James 16:11. These are the false images. It does not align to scripture. Okay? So now let us go back to the video post, and you will see what I wrote to this gentleman's question. Okay? Now, to understand Revelations chapter 1, and you know what? I just realized I need to read Revelations chapter 1, verse 14 to you before I proceed reading my response. So let us go there first. Now, this comes from the King James 1611 website, okay? And you click on this tab here, and then you select your book, and this is Revelation chapter 1. Now, to see the authentic, book, or what it looks like, you click on this picture here, and once you click on that picture, you can read the Bible summary, read the chapter summary, and you can also get the precepts for that chapter as well. Now, let us go to verse 14. Verse 14, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. So when people read this, they are thinking about his head. They think about his whole head being white as snow, okay? And we're going to explain about that because remember, the sacred scrolls was translated from the Hebrew scrolls. And the Hebrew scrolls is before Greek, my brothers and sisters. I am aware that the New Testament was translated from the Greek, but before the Greek, there was a Hebrew language. And this is one thing that people do not understand. So this is why when you read English, a lot of you are not interpreting the scripture correctly. Okay? So this is where you have to seek Yahuwah to get his truth. All right? So now let's go back to the video post. Believe it or not, there are other scriptures listed in the Bible to give you a full understanding about Revelations chapter 1, verse 14. For it says, for one of the scriptures you can go to is Matthew chapter 5, verse 36. So let's read that now. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. So when we look at Revelations chapter 1, verse 14, when it's talking about his head and his hairs were white like wool, was white like wool, as white as snow, a lot of people are not aware that the Messiah has a beard. That is a part of our Hebrew custom, our ways. Go back and read Torah. Okay, that's one explanation of why the scriptures say that his head was like that. His head were white like wool, as white as snow. Okay, that's one explanation. Okay. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 5, verse 36. So the Messiah is speaking here, and he's telling the Israelites that neither should we swear by thy head. Now, this is the same Greek word that's listed in Revelation chapter 1 when you do further research on language. Same Greek word. But then he give a more specific specification here. He's letting know, in pertaining to their head, they cannot make their hair white or black. Now, today, when people think of white hair, they think of hair being gray, to give you an understanding of that. So, going back to Revelation chapter 1, verse 14, you will see that this verse, when it's describing the Messiah, is letting you know that his hairs was white as snow. Okay? But we're going to read a little further down, because it's the second reason why the scripture will also say that his head was white like wool, as white as snow. Because remember, a Hebrew Israelite man has a beard. So he has hair all over his face, does he not? And the Messiah hair was white. White as snow, and it had a texture of wool. Okay? But let us continue to read. Let us read verse 15. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So I told this individual that when he has some time to read Leviticus chapter 13, especially verse 29 to 36, but read the whole chapter. And for extra study, to read Leviticus chapter 24, Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 8 to 9, Numbers chapter 12, and there's many other scriptures in the Bible that will give you more understanding about what is leprosy. See, there's many different signs and symptoms of leprosy, and one of the signs and symptoms of leprosy is white skin, my brothers and sisters. This is something that Christianity will not teach you, okay? But let us continue. I put here also head as white wool. Also read Revelation chapter 1, verse 16. For it deals with illumination too, which means his head was shining so white and bright as the sun. The Hebrew word for white in relation to illumination is TSACH. The concordance number is H6703, and we'll talk a little more about that. I also let this individual know that most Europeans have blonde, red, or brunette hair. Israelites, who are the true Jews / Judeans / Yahudim, have black or white hair. And again, today most people recognize white hair as gray hair. I also let him know that to reread the whole King James 1611, especially the Hebrew language, for you need to look up what the word mean in Hebrew. Remember, my brothers and sisters, we are reading English today, and the English language can have many different definitions for one word. So it is very important that you go back to the original language to get the full understanding of what that scripture is trying to tell you. But let us continue. I also said to him, you will learn that Adam, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, the Israelites are all Negroes. Now, I know when you translate this word Negro, it means black, but then you will learn that we are shades of brown to black, which we'll talk more in this video. I also let him know that the Europeans lied to him, and that the Israelites as a nation of people are not white, but they are Negroes. But we come in shades of brown to black, just like the earth. And all you have to do is look at the earth, which is the dust. And the earth would be a witness of that as well. So now let's go back to this tab here. Okay. To get a furthermore breakdown about Revelation chapter 1, verse 14 to 16. So let me read those verses again, and then we can proceed, okay? Revelation chapter 1, verse 14 to 16. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. Now, to truly understand verse 16 about his countenance was as the sun shineth in the strength, you got to read Matthew chapter 24. Okay? And when you read this verse here, just reading these 3 verses alone, does it match up to what Blue Letter Bible have? Look at all these images. The European image of the Messiah is the false image of the Hebrew Messiah. It don't match up. Okay? Now let's go for the breakdown. So we already read Matthew chapter 5, verse 36. And I want to make this clear. This is about nations trait as a whole group of people, as a nation. This is not about individual traits, okay? So this is very, very important as we begin this breakdown, okay? Now, Matthew chapter 5, verse 36 point out a very important characteristics of the Israelites, okay? Israelites are known to have black hair, right? So the question you need to ask yourself, does Europeans have black hair or does Negroes have black hair? And the answer would be Negroes. Now, I also put under here to get more understanding about the color black, because people are not aware that hair color tells you a lot about a person too. It gives you an idea of their origins, okay? When you do a more further study about the color black, you will learn that black is inclusive or made up of a lot of colors. Let me show you what I mean. Right here in this picture, you have red, blue, and yellow. If you mix all these 3 colors together, you make the color black. And that's the reason why I'm pointing this out, because those who work with hair, like your beauticians, will understand where I'm going at with this. Again, because only certain nations carry certain traits. Okay? It says here, when you do a Google search with mixing colors to make black, it says here that the primary colors of light are red, blue, and yellow. Now, this is very important. It said colors of light. Okay? If you subtract these from white, you get cyan, magenta, and yellow. Mixing these generates new colors, as shown on the color wheel, or the circle on the right. Mixing these 3 primary colors generates black. And you'll see where I'm going with this later on. Let's go to the next section. Again, this is just another confirmation. This comes from, this comes from reference. And it said, what colors make black? And the answer is, in theory, mixing all colors in equal proportion would produce black. Using the subtractive method of color combination in the additive method, the same approach produces white. Okay? That's just something to really think about, how the color black is made. Okay, you'll see where I'm going with this. Let us keep going. Also in Matthew chapter 5, verse 36 is mentioned white hair. And when you do a study about gray hair, you will learn that it usually has no pigment, and that's what makes the hair white, truly white. Or when you have a person like kind of grayish hair, they have a lack of pigment. So we already know that the Europeans and Negroes can both have this trait. Okay? Now, I'm bringing this out because when I was a young girl, I had this question. I didn't understand why people with dark hair was called brunette. I thought their hair was black. Okay, so I'm bringing this out because, again, you're going to see where I'm going with this. Remember, hair colors give us an idea about a person's origin or who their forefather is based on the King James 1611 Bible. Okay? When you look up brunette, you will learn that brunette is a reddish brown. Now, as a nation of people, the Negroes would not have this characteristic. I'm talking about as a nation. I'm not talking about individual traits. I'm talking about as a nation of people, the original characteristics. But the Europeans would have this trait. Okay? So now we're going to go to the article that talks about brunette. Now, brunette is known as brown hair. Okay? And Wikipedia states that it is the second most common human hair color after black hair. So black hair is the first most common hair. Then the second hair color is brown hair. Let us keep going. It varies from light brown to almost black. It is characterized by higher levels of the dark pigment eumelin and lower levels of the pale pigment pheomelin. Its strands are thicker than those of fair hair, but not as much as those of red hair. You want to keep that in the back of your mind. But let us keep reading. People with brown hair are often referred to as brunette, which in French is the feminine form of brunette, and the diminutive of brune, brown, which means brown, brown-haired, or dark hair. Brown hair is common among population in the Western world, especially among those from Central Europe, Southeastern Europe, Eastern Europe, Southern Cone, the United States, and also some populations in the Greater Middle East, where it is transitioned smoothly into black hair. Additionally, brown hair is common among Australian Aborigines and Melanesians. Okay? I'm not going to read this whole article, but it will be listed in the video description box. But I do want to point this out because now I got the understanding why brunette hair is not classified as black hair. There is a difference, my brothers and sisters. Okay? So dark hair is predominant in the Mediterranean parts of Europe, the Middle East, Central Asia, Central Africa, and in Southern Africa. Further east, very dark brown hair, easily mistaken for black hair, can be found occasionally in parts of South Asia. This is also true of Southern Cone of South America, Chile, Argentina. Let me see. I think that's YHWH. Excuse my tone. I may have mispronounced it. It's YHWH, and Southern Brazil. Again, remember I was telling you about hair color because it tells you something about their forefathers. Okay? But let us go back to the breakdown. So now that we looked at brunette hair, we know what color would make brunette hair? Red plus brown. I want you to keep that. I'm sorry. Red plus black. That's a typo there. Red plus black hair. Okay? A person who has red hair mixing with a person who has black hair will produce brunette. Okay? Something to think about. Now we're going to look at this part here. So when we look at the nation, like the Europeans versus the Negroes, you will come to learn that the Europeans possess these hair traits. They usually have blonde hair, red hair, or brunette hair. Now, as a nation of people, for the Negroes, we don't have that as a nation trait. Okay? Now, I just want you to listen. I'm talking about nation now. So when you learn about red hair and its origin, who is the forefather of red hair according to the Bible? Esau. Okay? This is one of the ways you can trace where he has been throughout the world. But he has been mixing himself, my brothers and sisters, especially with the Europeans. Okay? And we're talking more about that. It's very important that you get more familiar about Esau because there are still biblical prophecy in the Old Testament that is still being fulfilled today. You need to read Genesis chapter 25 and chapter 27, and there's many other scriptures, because Edom has taken his brother's inheritance. See, those who you are calling the Jews today are not Hebrew Israelites. They are not the children of Israel. One of the groups or one of the nation of people that has taken their identity is Edom. That's one of them. But let us continue because I want to give you some more highlights. Another biblical prophecy that is still being fulfilled and has not came into its fullness yet can be found in 2nd Ezra chapter 6. See, this is why I've been stressing to y'all to get that 16:11. Because Roman Christianity has been lying to you and keeping you in darkness, keeping you in lies. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 7 says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Now this is Ezra, Ezra, asking, I believe it was the angel at the time, what would happen. Okay? How will we know when the end is here? And how will we know when the beginning will start? Let us continue, verse 8. And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first to the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. Other question, Esdras, asked thou not. Now, Esdras is the same person as Ezra's and Ezra in the Old Testament. So here we have a biblical prophecy letting us know Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. And you're probably asking yourself, what did that mean? If you have read the book of Daniel and truly understand what kingdom we are in, then you will understand this prophecy. See, the Europeans are lying saying that Edom don't exist. But there's a biblical record that has been found in the 1940s that will confirm unto you that Edom does exist. They have not been cut off yet. But let us keep going. Okay? So this biblical record that was found, most of you are aware of it, is known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. And within the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's a war scroll. And the war scroll will confirm to you that Edom does exist because it's one of the nations that shall come against Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, the Messiah. Also, many of you are not aware of the other prophecies that pertain to Edom, because remember, the Bible has more than one word for them or more than one name for them. And because you have not read the other hidden books, you don't truly understand these prophecies. So your spare time, read Numbers chapter 24, 1 Samuel chapter 23, the book of Daniel's, also the book of Esdras in the Apocrypha. He wrote the first and second book. And the second book pertains more to the biblical prophecies dealing with the last days. And also read the book of Revelation. See, Edom has many names, but you are not familiar with them because the Roman Christianity church kept you mostly in the New Testament. You know nothing of the Old Testament, and you know nothing of the Apocrypha. This is why you don't understand what's truly going on. Which brings us to this. You need to ask yourself, whose kingdom are you in? What is the ruling nation upon the earth? Because again, you're not understanding Genesis chapter 27. For that was the inheritance that Esau and his descendants shall receive. For we are in Esau kingdom. And that can be confirmed in Psalms chapter 83, because again, he is the leading nation upon this world. And this empire that Daniel is talking about, or this kingdom, is still Rome. See, a lot of you have been watching and paying attention to the signs. You haven't been looking at their architect. Look at their buildings. Look at their laws. Look at their governments. It's still set like the Romans. And Daniel said this would be the last beast, the fourth beast, which is the Roman Empire. Nothing has changed. There's nothing new beneath the sun. So Rome is Esau kingdom. You see, my brothers and sisters, Esau has mixed himself with the son of Japheth, and the sons of Japheth makes up the European population. This is how he has hidden himself. This is why some of you don't believe that some of the Europeans are Esau. But guess what? The red hair gives them away. That's proof, my brothers and sisters. He also has mixed himself with the Canaanites. And if you know anything about the Canaanites, and especially when you read Leviticus chapter 13 to 14, you will learn about the plague of leprosy. The Most High put a plague of leprosy upon some of the Canaanites. This is why he gave that law unto the Israelites on knowing how to deal with it. See, leprosy is a punishment unto the wicked. And unfortunately, some of their children are bearing that punishment. Just like the Hebrew Israelites are bearing the punishment, which we call curses, of their forefathers, for their forefathers broke the covenant and killed the Messiah. But let us continue. He also had mixed with some of the Ishmaelites, because one of his wives was of Ishmael, and his other two wives was of the Canaanites. And this last thing that most people are not aware about Esau, he has also mixed himself with this unknown ancient nation. Now you're probably saying, what did that mean, Sister Year? Because the Bible talks about him, Jeremiah and Deuteronomy. So in the video playlist, click on Alien Among Us playlist, and I already checked it today. I see they had deleted some of the videos, but there's still other videos there to give you more insight. Who is this unknown nation that Esau has mixed himself with? For even Daniel talks about it, but many of you may missed it. Let us keep going. Also in the video description box, there is a video playlist to give you more understanding about Edom and who they are today. Again, this is why I said earlier, when we look at Matthew chapter 5, verse 36, it's bringing out a very important characteristic about hair color. This is dealing with a nation trait. So one of the traits of the nation of Edom is red hair. And one of the traits for the nation of the Hebrew Israelites is black hair. But let us keep going, because now we're getting more proof of the true image of the Messiah. Okay, but let us keep going. So when we look at Adam, and when you look in the Hebrew, you will learn Adam means mankind. And you will learn from the book of Genesis that Adam was made in the image of Yahuwah. So if Adam's made in the image of Yahuwah, his original hair color was what? Black. Was he not made from the earth? But let us keep going. Also, when you read the book of Leviticus, chapter 13 to chapter 14, you will learn that leprosy was the plague that brought forth yellow or blonde hair. And also, from further studying and through the Ruach HaKodesh, the Father will give you this answer. That yellow or blonde hair was also brought in the earth from the mixing with the unknown ancient nation. Because when you look up and study about blonde hair, again, it's another form of lack of melanin. It has some melanin, but not as much compared to black hair. Again, this is not to make anyone to feel inferior or less of a person. This is to give you a history to understand how did we get these traits upon the earth. Because I want to make this clear. Those who accept the new covenant, you become holy and acceptable unto Yahuwah. Remember the book of Acts. What he made clean is clean and holy unto him. So do not allow this video to be a hindrance or a stumbling block unto you, okay? Because this is about spirit now in this new covenant. But what I'm doing is I'm giving truth because I'm tired of these lies of the Europeans putting upon this world. I'm tired of them saying that Negroes cannot be the children of Israel because we are, and our history prove it, and the word prove it, but they want to keep on lying. So this is why this video is made, to give you understanding and to give you the scriptures to prove unto you that the Messiah is a Negro. He's a Negro. But let us keep going. Okay? Now, dealing with individuals, I am aware an Israelite can have white skin or blonde hair or red hair or black hair due to the mixing. Okay? I'm aware of this. But what I'm talking about a nation trait. Now, for those individuals who have those other traits, to determine what nation you belong to, you have to look at your fallen lineage. Okay? Now, I know some of us don't know our fallen lineage, so don't worry about it. Yahuwah going to take care of all of that because he knows who you are. And if you truly want to know who you are, just ask him. What did he tell us? Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be open to you. Ask and it shall be given to you. And all we have to do is ask in the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach. This is why some of us has awakened, because Yahuwah had told us himself who we are, my brothers and sisters. So the Gentiles are calling this the Hebrew Israelite movement, but what they're not understanding, this is ordained by Yahuwah himself. He is waking up his people because he knew what the heathens had done to his people. For they had taken away their nationality, their land, their language, and given them bywords and proverbs, such as to be called Negroes, niggas, black, etc. Do you see where I'm going with this? So this is why this truth has to be brought out, not to make nobody feel inferior, but this is about truth, because once we learn the truth is set us free, and we should come out of darkness and into the light. And then you will get a more better understanding of the new covenant. But let us keep going. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 29 to 37. Will give us more understanding about Revelations chapter 1 verse 14, which pertain to the head and the original color of the Israelites' hair. So let us go there now. Okay, Leviticus chapter 13 verse 29. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dried skull, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. Now are you beginning to get understanding about that word head in Revelation chapter 14, that is mostly pertaining to the hairs. And for the Messiah, he has a beard, so he has hair all over his face because he has a beard. Okay, but let us keep reading. Verse 31. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in the sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up that had the plague of the skull 7 days. So now we are seeing an ancient trait. Sorry about that. Now we are seeing an ancient trait of the Israelites, black hair. But let us keep reading. Verse 32. Because remember, this is in the covenant that Yahuwah made with the Israelites. Verse 32. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the plague, and behold, if the skull spread not, and there be in it no yellow hair, and the skull be not in sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the skull shall not be shaved, and the priest shall shut him that have the skull, scowl, 7 days more. And in the 7th day the priest shall look on the scowl, and behold, if the scowl be not spread in the skin, nor be in sight deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean. But if the scowl spread much in the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look on him, and behold, if the scowl be spread in the skin, the priest shall not seek for the yellow hair, he is unclean. But if the scowl be in his sight at a stay, and that there is black hair growing up therein, the scowl is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. So again, my brothers and sisters, we just read Leviticus chapter 13, verse 29 through 37. This is to prove to you what is the true trait of the Israelite hair. They have black hair. Okay, now are you seeing how the word would give you the truth? So if the Israelites had black hair, and the Messiah came out of the tribe of Judah, his hair would be what? Black, right? When he was upon the earth. But now he was in the heavens, and his hair was white as snow. Okay? Something to really think about, my brothers and sisters. All right. Now we're going to hair texture. Okay? Because it's also in Revelation chapter 1, verse 14 through 16, you will learn that it describes his hair as like what? Wool. So we'll go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. Now, Daniel chapter 7, verse 9 is pertaining to Yahuwah himself, okay? So let's see what's the characteristics of Yahuwah. Because we know what the Son said, if you have seen me, then you have seen my Father. Daniel chapter 7, verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. So when you look at this verse here, when you see the Ancient of Days, it's talking about Yahuwah, for he is ancient, for no one don't know how old he is. Okay? And it says that his garments was white as snow. So as you see, white as snow is giving you an idea about, again, color. Okay? So his garments was very white. And it said here that his hair of his head like pure wool. So it's giving us the texture of the Most High hair. Wool. Wool. You ever seen wool? Ain't it curly? We call it kinky. Okay? So now that we proven by scripture what is the texture of the hair of the Most High, would not his son, Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, who is the Messiah, have woolly hair? So you have to ask yourself, when you compare the Europeans to the Negroes as a nation of people now, who would have woolly hair? Negroes. Again, it goes back to Adam. Was not Adam made in the image of Yahuwah? Therefore, Adam would also have woolly hair. Something to really think about. Now, you probably ask yourself, where did straight hair come from again? Straight hair probably came from the mixing, and then you probably have to go in a deep study with Yahuwah. But I guarantee it has something to do with mixing, and it has something to do with that unknown ancient nation. Okay? But let us keep going. Now, also when you read Revelations chapter 1, verse 14 through 16, people not understanding what does it mean about polished brass or fine brass. So on that same video site that I had taken you to with that comment, one of the brethren gave a testimony to confirm to people about Daniel chapter 10, verse 6. So let us first go to Daniel chapter 10, verse 6 before I read his testimony. Because again, the European has spread so many lies. Is this that many people are believing the lie and not believing the word. And the word give you clear description of the Messiah and of Yahuwah. The word also give you clear description of the Hebrew Israelites. And when you read the word, you will come to learn that they are Negroes. For only Israelites can blend in with Egyptians. And we know Egyptians are the sons of Ham, and they are what? Black people. Something to really think about. Okay, now Daniel chapter 10, verse 6, it says here, this is talking about the Messiah. His body was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. Now we're going to look at this word color to polished brass. We're going to read my brother's testimony here. I cannot pronounce his name. Yes, I can. I'm going to say it. I'm going to try to say this. It says YAHUWH Israel. He wrote this on, I think it was March 31st, 2017. He said, P.S. sister, I am a welder for 37 years now and very certified. Let me tell you this, when you put brass in fire for about 1 hour or less, it comes out black. Whole truth, continue on the Most High, is above you. Shalom. Now we have a welder giving you testimony of what brass looks like when you have put it in fire. It comes out black. Also, we have a video testimony that will give you more understanding about polished brass and fine brass. And the title of this video is, let me go to it now, Reform Apologetics Destroyed. Hebrew Israelites Confirmed Documentary. And this is on Hebrew Nation Building. And I highly recommend that you watch that video because, again, it will cover a lot of the European lies that they are saying against the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? So when you get a chance, watch that. That will be in the video description box. Okay? Now we're just going to white and ready because many people run to that word, but they fail to look at this conjunction. Because I see two characteristics that are being combined. What does it mean, my brothers and sisters, for a person to be white and ruddy? Now, this was used to describe the Messiah and Noah. There is a video playlist that I'm going to put in the description box, and let me go to it now to give you more understanding. What does it mean? Because again, you got to go back to the Hebrew. Okay, so when you go back to the Hebrew, and I'm going to point this out because we have more than one witness to prove to you what I'm saying to you. When you go back to the Hebrew, you will learn it is TSACH. And the strong concordance number is 86703. And when you look up that word white, you will learn it is not talking about skin color. It's talking about illumination. Did not Revelation chapter 1 verse 16 tell you that his countenance is as the bright and shining sun? That's how bright he was shining, my brothers and sisters. Again, you have to go back and study the original language to get the true definition of these words, my brothers and sisters. Also, when you begin to study about the word ruddy, and this is even in the Gentile sources, you will learn that ruddy means what? Reddish brown. But when you go to Wikipedia red hair, you will learn that the Hebrew word used to translate ruddy or reddish brown, okay, was used to describe Esau and David. Okay. And yes, my brother Esau was red, or what we call ruddy. But because of him mixing and because of him being wicked, his skin was changed to white. But the only trait that he couldn't get rid of was that red hair. Also, you begin to learn that Adam was ruddy as well. When you look up this strong concordance called Adam, H119, you will learn that it means red or ruddy, okay? Red clay or bloody clay or reddish-brown clay. Again, you got to look at the earth because Adam was made from the earth. And for those who are very familiar with agriculture, what is the best soil to grow your crops in? Black soil, for it's mostly rich in nutrients to produce the best crops. Something that people don't really pay attention to. Also, we have the Apocrypha, which break down what another meaning already, because people are not understanding that when it said a person was of a rose color or what they call rosy, that also mean ready, because yes, my people can be ready, and it's called reddish brown. See, this is something that people are not understanding. You gotta look at skin tones. Sometimes a person have a certain hue under their skin. For example, a brown person can have a yellow tone. Okay, a dark skinned person or a black person can have a reddish tone under them. It's there. Especially if you do makeup, you'll understand what I'm talking about with matching up people to that foundation. Also, the work of Josephus will confirm that King David was of a yellow complexion. Now, the only way to be a yellow complexion is two ways. Either you are a Negro who has a yellow tone to your skin, or you have jaundice. One or the other. Either you are a Negro who has a yellow tone to their complexion, or you have jaundice. Again, this do not fit the Europeans' characteristics. I'm not talking about Europeans. I'm talking about the sons of Esau, the sons of Japheth, and dealing with that unknown ancient nation. But let us keep going. Even the Zondervan Camp Compact Bible, this is what it says about ready. Ready is a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion, in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. Now, it's telling you that Hebrews are dark skin, right? And what people don't understand about us, we come in different shades. See, we have a saying in our nation, a person can be red bone or light skin, but it is a different shade of brown. Something to really think about. So when you go on the channel and you click on this playlist here, you will see the description. You will see the information what I just talked about. But in the playlist here, there are 4 videos. And again, these videos will give you more understanding of what does it mean to be white and red at the same time, especially when you're talking about the Messiah and when you talk about Noah. Again, the evidence is there. It's up to you to believe the truth, or you can continue to believe the lies of the Europeans. Okay? And especially when you have time. Let's see here. Definitely white Israelites and Christians. The white Jesus Christos is not the Messiah nor the son of Yahuwah. Okay? Now this brings us to the word Negro. You're probably wondering why I use this. I use this word because it's the proof and evidence against the heathens. For our historical records can prove we are the Israelites with this word. You probably saying, what do you mean? When you read Deuteronomy 28, you will learn that the Israelites would be under certain curses, which it would be bearing to this day. And they would be called bywords. They would be called out of their name. They won't be recognized as their nations. And one of this byword is Negro. See, my brothers and sisters who are Hebrew Israelites, keep your birth certificates of your families and your relatives, because when you go back and look at them, they originally dressed us as Negroes. They didn't address us as African American. African American came very late, and African American is more of a European type of word. And to understand what I'm talking about, let me show you this world map here. We know these are continents, right? We have 7 continents. And on each continent are many countries. Now, this is the problem I have with people who are being ignorant. Okay. When I use the word Europeans, we know we're talking about Britain, Spain, Germany, um, Russia, I'm trying to see what's the other word, Sweden, France, and Ukraine, all these European countries, okay? So when I say European, you have an idea about what landmass, but you also have an idea that on that landmass are many countries. And most people identify by their country. Either they're gonna say I'm German, or I'm Britain, or I'm a Spaniard, that kind of thing. But the problem I have with people being ignorant when it comes to Africa, they want to group all of us into one landmass. And I just shake my head because Africa is the same as any other continent. You have many countries on that landmass. And just because a person, in other words, when they took my people out of the land of Africa, you automatically assume that we are what? Children of Ham. And I shake my head because when you read the book of Josephus, as well as the Bible, you will learn that people move around. So just because people are there living today does not mean they are the indigenous people of that land. You got to do more research, my brothers and sisters. We got to stop this ignorance. We have to stop the ways of the heathens. We have to stop believing the European lies. Because everybody know today, the Europeans who have moved to South Africa, we know they're not the indigenous people in the land. They stick out like a sore thumb. Same thing with Australia. We know those Europeans down there are not the indigenous people of the land. So we got to use wisdom, my brothers and sisters. We got to come out of this ignorance. And because if you don't, you're going to remain in darkness, and you're going to continue believing the lies of the Europeans and Hebrew Israelites. I'm not talking about Hebrew Israelites, I'm talking about those who are not awakened. You're going to allow the heathens to keep you from your inheritance that the Most High have for you. Beware. Okay, so let us go back. So keep those records, my brothers and sisters. That's the evidence. Because even for me, think about it. Brown skin, red bone, light skin, etc. We are still labeled black because we come from what? Negroes. If you would see me today and you look at my skin is brown. But yet the heathens call me black. When you look at India, okay, and you look at that nation of people, they are from the lightest to the darkest. But you don't see them calling them black. They would say they're what? Indian, right? Or whatever nation they recognize, or tribe, or whatever tribe they recognize themselves to. See, this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. If they were so politically correct about skin tone, they would label everybody that, but they don't. They only label the children of Israel that. Again, because we are under the curses of Deuteronomy 28. So in your spare time, my brothers and sisters, I want you to read the works of Josephus, especially Apion 1 and 2, because what happened back then is happening now. For there is nothing new underneath the sun, my brothers and sisters. The heathens lied back then about our history, and they're lying now, okay? And what you would learn about the work of Josephus, because he tells you this himself, he had his works translated from the Hebrew tongue into the Greek tongue. Read War Preference, number 1, and the Book of Antiquity Preface, number 2. Also, when you get a chance, read Antiquity, Book 1, Section 5, to see what the Greeks do. I'm telling you, nothing new underneath the sun. Also, you will learn that Josephus did become a Mashiach Nazarene believer, and today that was translated as to Masonic Nazarene. This is why when you read the book of Acts, this is why Paul is labeled as the leader of the sect who call himself Nazarene. It's a deep spiritual message behind that. See, this word Christian is to me, it's a heathen word. It is, because when you look in the Hebrew tongue, such as I'm talking about like with the Picto Hebrew and with the Paleo Hebrew, there's no Hebrew word for Christian. But there is a Hebrew word for Mashiachim, which is Masonic. Well, today they would say Messianic. And there is a Hebrew word for Nazarene, which is Nazarene. And both of those words can, and the word Nazarene can be translated into the Greek, into the Latin, into Old English, into Modern English. And when you compare those translations, you can see similarities. Okay? So when you get a spare time, for those who have a copy of the works of Josephus, dealing with him being a Messianic Nazarene, you can read it in the dissertation 1, and that's dealing with his testimonies concerning with Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, John the Baptist, and James the Just. Okay, and you will find it on page 820 under the section of observation from the foregoing evidence and citation. And there you would see him being labeled as a Nazarene or Ebonite. And yes, you would see that Christian word, but I'm telling you, when my Hebrew people speak their own language, they don't call themselves Christians. They would say, I'm a Nazarene believer, or I'm a Mashiachim believer. It's a big difference. Okay, but let us continue. Also, those who have a copy of the work of Josephus, what I like about the book, because it's a great amount of evidence to use against the heathens. You can see what the heathens have done to our sacred books, how they went in and changed stuff. And this is why I keep telling y'all, do not put your 1611 Bible away, because that's your proof and evidence, and that is your book to use as a foundation against the other books. Because when you go in the work of Josephus under my tongue getting twisted. I'm sorry. Okay, when you go under dissertation number 5 upon the chronology of Josephus, when you go there on page 862, number 38, they admit to you how some numbers have been changed over the years, and these numbers that was changed was not done by Josephus. It was done by them, from making copy after copy after copy after copy. Okay. Also, my sister had witnessed unto me that they had even removed the description of the Messiah. See, Josephus wrote about the Messiah, and I'm sorry, I'm stuttering. Josephus wrote about the Messiah and gave us a description, but they had removed that. So this is why I stress to y'all that when you don't understand something and you go into these other books and stuff is just not adding up, this is why it's so important that you seek Yahuwah for his truth, because the heathens have done a number on our sacred scrolls, because they want you to remain in lies. They want you to be in darkness. Okay? So that is one piece of evidence. That's why I tell people I read everything, because you can see what the heathens have done. In other words, you can see when they translate something, you can see when the heathen is speaking and where truly Josephus is speaking. You can see that. Okay. Another great piece of evidence which shows that the heathens have no understanding. When you read the book of Antiquities and you go to book 1, section 2, number 34, Josephus talk about Moses and the day when Yahuwah spoke to Moses. Okay. And when you read the note, you can tell the heathen had no understanding what that means and why Josephus wrote that. You can see in the note. For those who have a copy, when you read it, you're going to laugh. Because when you go back and read Exodus chapter 24 and the book of Jubilees, you will see why Josephus wrote, and I'm going to read his quote. This is Antiquity, book 1, section 2, number 34. Josephus wrote this. Moreover, Moses, after the 7th day was over, begins to talk my tongue getting twisted. Begin to talk physiologically and concerning the formation of man. Okay? There's a reason why Josephus wrote that Moses began to talk to Yahuwah after the 7th day. And the answer can be found in Exodus chapter 24 and in the book of Jubilees. I leave that for you. So That's what I'm talking about. You can tell what the heathens have done to our sacred book. However, I don't put them books away because it's evidence to use against them and to show them their wickedness, and to also show them that they don't have the understanding of the Most High Word. It wasn't given unto them. It was given unto Israel. And those who are in the new covenant, who truly are born again, it shall be given unto you. But it's not given unto the heathen. Okay? I hope you understand what I'm saying here. And the next area I want to cover is language. Because I have to stress this, because this is what the heathens do. They're always putting up the Greek, the Greek, the Greek. So this is a question you have to ask yourself, my brothers and sisters. Is the Greek before the Hebrew or Aramaic in the sacred scrolls of Yahuwah? Ask yourself, what was the language that Yahuwah word was written in? Now, when you start Aramaic, you will learn it's the sister language to Hebrew. Okay? They act like the Greek was before the Hebrew and the Aramaic. Even Josephus was particular of what gospel. Well, Josephus was particular of the books of the gospel that he read because he preferred in the Hebrew language. He didn't want the Greek. See, it was translated to the Greek for those who want more understanding about our laws, our ways, for those who want more understanding about the Most High. So it was translated into Greek for them. But for us, Israelites, we didn't want the Greek. We prefer it in the Hebrew because when you study about language, it is a difference between languages. It's a difference. And the 1611 will provide the evidence, such as the book of Mark and the book of Revelation. You can see the Hebrew and Aramaic words. For example, let's go to Revelation chapter 9, verse 11. Revelations chapter 9, verse 11. And it says here, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue have his name Apollyon. So that's proof to you that these sacred scrolls was written in the Hebrew tongue before the Greek tongue. See, with Hebrew cannot be manipulated. This is why they are so quick to run to the Greek, because they want to deceive you on some stuff. You have to watch the children of Satan. That's why it's so important to study the whole volume of the book. Okay? Also, in the Apocrypha under Ben Sirah, which is also known as Ecclesiasticus, there's a prologue that was written. And in the prologue, you will learn this. For it says, for the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated in another language have not the same force in them. Not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. So even the word of Yahuwah is confirming unto you, there is a difference between the Hebrew and the Greek. It's a difference. And I'm going to show you this for example. Because we already talked about it, I'm going to give you this for example. Let's go back to the playlist. When people look up white and ruddy in Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 10, when they see the word white, with the English word white, they automatically think that the Messiah is white. In other words, they think the Messiah has white skin. But when you look up in the Hebrew, you will learn that that word white in the Hebrew means dazzling, sunny, bright, evident, clear, dry, plainy white. So when you read that scripture, when it's describing the Messiah as being white and ruddy, what it's telling you, he was as bright as the sun, that his light was so white and so bright as the sun. And he is a reddish brown man, or basically he's a Negro. This is why it's so important to go back in the Hebrew and find out what these words mean. Because when you don't have the knowledge, you can be easily deceived by the children of Satan and continue to follow the lies of the European. So now this brings us to the end of this video. I want to stress to you, my brothers and sisters, when you're not understanding anything, when you don't understand something, and you read the word and you read the other books and you're still not understanding something, please seek Yahuwah in the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, because he said what we ask in his son's name, he shall give unto us. But we need to ask in faith and have our and make sure our faith is just like a mustard seed. And we need to be patient and wait on Yahuwah. Because what the things I'm sharing with you, my brothers and sisters, I didn't get it overnight. But I waited upon the Father. And at his appointed time, that's when he gave me the understanding. So again, read Luke chapter 11, verse 9 to 13, and seek Yahuwah in all things. Don't seek man. Seek Yahuwah in the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, who is the Messiah. For we are taught by the Messiah spirit. We are not going to be taught by flesh anymore. Read 1 John chapter 2, verse 27, and John chapter 14 to chapter 15. So let me end with this prayer. In the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, Father, I want to thank you for the confirmation and giving us understanding. What does it mean for the head to be like wool? What does it mean for the head to be white as snow? Thank you for that word. Thank you for your truth. I pray, Father, that your truth go forth out the four corners of the earth. I pray that your children receive the truth. And I pray that they seek you for your understanding and stop following the lies of the European. Stop following the lies of the children of Satan. And Father, we pray for Brother Alayasha and his family, to be with them, to comfort them. But use them, Father, to glorify your name and to protect them from all danger, harm, and evil, Father. And Father, if I have not prayed for something in this prayer, I ask that you fulfill it according to your will. And I pray that people will truly understand the new covenant and what does it mean. In the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, so be it. So looking at this lesson right here, and I want to make this clear because people like to take words and twist them. A nation, I'm talking about a nation, possess certain traits. And this is how a nation is identified. Physical traits and culture. Okay? And just by looking at Matthew chapter 5, verse 36, it revealed the trait, the physical trait of the Hebrew Israelites. And when we take this knowledge of what we just learned and we look at these so-called Jewish people today, they don't even match up to those traits. And I'm aware that some individual in that nation can have these traits, but I'm talking about as a nation of people. Also, when you look at these portraits and these images of the Messiah, we just learned that these false images are fake. They're false. This is not the Messiah that's in the King James 16:11. For Yahuwshua HaMashiyach is a Negro. He has woolly hair. And what today the Gentiles would say, he has black skin. There's no such thing as olive skin, my brothers and sisters, because what's the color of an olive? It can be green or black. So let's come out of these foolish doctrines. Let's face facts. Even the Egyptians, who are the children of Ham, have black skin. And the Israelites, according to the Bible, could easily blend in with the Egyptians. It is time for you to wake up, my brothers and sisters, and to learn the truth. And if you are a person who have white skin, red hair, brunette hair, blonde hair, this is not to make you feel bad. Because remember, the children of Israel are bearing the curses of their forefathers. So this do not prevent you of coming into the new covenant. For the words say that the new covenant is for Israelites and Gentiles, male and female, bond and free, circumcised and uncircumcised, Scythian, barbarian, etc. Because whatever the Most High cleanse become holy and pure unto him. So do not allow this video to be a stumbling block unto you, because this video was done to give people the truth, because for too long the Europeans been lying. And I'm a witness of this. I had a European tell me that I was a curse, told me that I was of Ham and that black skin was cursed. And now that I know the truth, my brothers and sisters, I know that is not true. I learned that black skin is not a curse. Black skin is a gift from the Most High, because melanin protects us from the sun. That's a gift. And we came from the earth, and the earth had melanin. Okay? These are the things that we as a nation of people, the Israelites, the Negroes, go through. We are told these lies. And now that I know the truth, I'm not a child of Ham. I am a child of Shem. That's where my lineage come from. And it's time out for these lies. It has to end. So I don't want to keep on talking. Let's go ahead and close this thing out. So now we have the understanding about Revelation chapter 1 verse 14. Now we know what does it mean for his head to be as white as wool. Now we understand that is pertaining to hair color. And if we want to go spiritually more deeper, that is pertaining to illumination. And I'm trying to think of anything else I need to say. And that's it, my brothers and sisters. Okay, so continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure you baptize the people in the name of Yahuwshua HaMashiyach, and make sure they receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. And this FYI, we are in the 7th day from Adam, which is the 7,000 year from Adam. From creation, it's the 12,000 year. So this is the season for the Messiah to come back. So if you are a child of Yahuwah, stop spreading these lies. It is time for us to spread truth. I love you all, and Shalom.